All right, man, we are back for another episode. And, man, I love it when we actually have the guests in the studio.
I agree with you.
You know, Skyping is a lot of fun, too. But, man, I'll tell you what, it's always a great opportunity to have people here in the studio because we can get to know them a little bit more.
Yep.
And we've got Rhett Shull here today with us.
What's up, guys?
All the way from Atlanta.
Yep. I'm in town this week, so it worked out. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out. So, obviously, Rhett, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then, obviously, we can kind of jump in what we're going to talk to about on the show today.
Yeah, so I'm a guitarist, first and foremost. I've been playing full-time since, I guess, 2011. And about a year and a half ago, I started out making YouTube videos, and that has grown to become part of, if not the full-time thing for me, alongside playing. I still play out, I still tour, I still do all that stuff, but now I have a video camera with me pretty much at all times, and I'm shooting everything that goes on around me, make videos about it.
Yeah, man, I saw your YouTube channel, and you are. It's almost like you're documenting a good portion of your life and what you do. Yeah,
I've been interested in YouTube for a long time. I've watched YouTube videos and creators for the better part of 6 or 7 years now, and I'm really fascinated in that kind of documentary-esque aspect of people sharing their lives and the vlogging thing, even though I hate that word, but it's like, it's, I just thought it would be cool to kind of share what life is like as a musician, as a guitar player, the ups, the downs, the technical side of it, the entertaining side of it, all that stuff.
Yeah, you're probably a big fan of reality TV shows, huh? What was the one on MTV years and years ago? Or there was a ton of them. But
was it Real World?
Real World,
something like that.
The fact that you guys know is scaring me.
Well, I'm telling you what, man, it was just kind of like, it was one of those shows that sometimes you watch it and you're like, I can't believe these people actually exist.
2 hours have gone by.
Right.
So on the videos, how many have you done? Because I've looked at some of them, and you've got a lot. For a year and a half, I would have thought 5 years.
Yeah.
If I was just guessing. But I mean, you have a lot of videos.
I don't actually know off the top of my head. Maybe somewhere between 150 and 180 videos.
Okay.
And how many of them are you putting out a week, or are you?
It varies. My goal is like 2 a week. Sometimes I can get 3, sometimes I only get 1. It just depends on my schedule. So, for instance, this week I'm here in Nashville. I'm up here for 2 shows with an artist I play for named Jessie Wilson. Her album's coming out on May 3rd, so we're doing an album release show and a thing at Grimey's. And so this week is chock full of rehearsals and gigs. And so, I will be lucky to get 2 videos out this week. And then next week we go to LA to play and do a bunch of stuff out there, but I'm building, the video production schedule in alongside my gigging schedule. Yeah. So hopefully 2 a week, but we'll see.
Yeah, and what is the reason for it? I mean, because it obviously seems like you enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what's the purpose behind it?
Behind the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question. I just had this drive, I guess, to start making YouTube videos. I was really intrigued by it. I was intrigued by some creators out there like Casey Neistat, for example, who's a huge YouTuber. And I don't know, I had this sort of curiosity about wanting to do it. I would watch these videos and think, you know what, I like creating things and making things, and maybe I could do this. And so I started out like in January of 2018, really pursuing it and making videos and putting them up. And I guess the purpose behind it is to kind of share, my experience as a guitar player, my knowledge as a guitar player, and try and help inspire other musicians and other guitar players by talking about, gear, talking about techniques, and then showing life on the road. I have the vlog I do is called Backstage Journal. And, I wanted to do that to kind of show what being on the road is really like.
What it's really like.
Yeah, it's not that glamorous, man.
Yeah. It's stinky.
Yeah.
Bad food.
Yeah, and in the van for 15 hours a day and playing a show, and where I'm at in my career as a player right now, the artist I'm playing for is mostly like opening stuff, we're touring with bigger artists, and so that's a whole thing in and of itself. So, yeah.
So take myself. I have a really nice camera that's in a case.
Right.
Never used it.
Right.
The microphone, because I'm behind a camera all the time, but I don't want to edit. But I want to get content, and I do get a lot of content on my own personal side. A lot of times with my phone, whether it's pictures, small videos, and stuff like that. So talk to us for a minute, because there's a lot of people that are listening and watching that are going to go, man, I really want to do this, but they're kind of like me. I'm kind of afraid of the backside of the camera, the editing side,
Right.
and actually producing the content that has a length to it. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, if you're a creative person, which you guys are both musicians, so I'm assuming you're both creative people, I think you have what it takes to do that. You just need to learn the skill set behind it, which is intimidating at first, but it's just like anything else. You know, learning to record guitars or drums or whatever, like that's an intimidating prospect when you're first looking at it. I would say, you know, there's plenty of great resources out there. You know, I learned videography and video editing from YouTube, from watching YouTube channels of professional videographers and professional filmmakers who've started these channels sharing their skill sets and their knowledge.
It's amazing what you can learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great information out there. And then it's just after that, it's repetition. You know, I've made, like we just said, 100 and something videos, and they get better every time. Every time I sit down to edit, I'm learning something new and doing something differently and getting faster. So, you know, when you first start out, it's going to be slow. It's going to be tough. You're going to make mistakes. The videos aren't going to turn out exactly like you had pictured them in your head, and that's okay. You just have to push through that and keep creating. And that's the secret, I think, to growth on YouTube. If you want to grow a channel and build a following, you have to just keep uploading. Because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to dial in your content. That's how you're going to stay on top of the algorithm and all of its weirdness. But just the repetition of making a video every week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is, and uploading it, that's how you grow.
Well, it's like that across all of social media, actually. Now, I mean, if you listen to somebody on how to build your business on Instagram or Facebook, I mean, you have to be active. I mean, you literally have to. But one of the big things I know that a lot of people are going to have issues with, and we've talked about this before with other store owners, is people needing to get in front of the camera, not being afraid of being who they are, not being afraid of things not being perfect.
Right.
How can we talk to people as music stores? Is we're trying to encourage music stores to grow, to be more effective in the world right now.
Yeah.
And obviously, content, video content, and pictures is something that they need to be doing. So, what's the first step you would tell people?
Okay. Well.
To coming over that fear.
It's the reality is I just go back to it's the repetition. I mean, look, I still sometimes feel weird in front of my camera.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of it. I was talking to a friend of mine about this last night. Actually, we were at dinner. You know, especially when I have the camera with me in public and I'm vlogging. You know, we're on the road or I'm going through an airport or loading in at a venue or something, and I want to document what's happening. I have to turn the camera on myself in front of people in public, and that is incredibly uncomfortable.
That's got to be.
Yeah, like,
I'm getting uncomfortable. I'm feeling uncomfortable listening to it.
And I've done it now so many times, and you just have to learn to kind of grit your teeth and get through it. And it does get easier. You know, you get more.
You feel like a 16-year-old girl taking selfies.
Yeah, seriously, man. Like when I have the camera pointed at myself, it's
so vain.
I know how ridiculous I look, and people are looking at me. But when I get to that editing phase, and I'm so glad I have that moment captured.
I agree.
And then the people that are watching the video, they don't care. They're glad that I was able to share that moment.
They want the content.
So I would say that. Like, think about the back end. You know, if you're uncomfortable with being on camera, think about, okay, you know, how is this going to help the video come across to the person watching it? What is, you know, what I'm sharing on camera, even though it's making me uncomfortable, how is it going to help share this piece of information, help grow my business or help inspire somebody, whatever your end goal is, you know? It just takes repetition. It takes practice, and there is an element of you just kind of have to put your head down and do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you said it best when you said there's so many of these people, they don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, they see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just part of our world that we live in. But I agree with you. You know, a lot of times, I mean, we've done, I think Ian shared that we've done over 5,000 videos here so we're in front of cameras all the time. We've got three of them on us. I don't even pay attention. I don't worry about it. But if I'm in an airport, man, that would weird me out. If I'm driving in an Uber, we were talking about Uber earlier, I feel like a dork, you know. So I guess you're right, because the other people don't care, but the people watching it, they get to enjoy the content that you're giving them, and they completely block everybody else out, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to me, it's this, I'm so self-conscious about what were you talking about?
We're so glad you're normal.
Yeah.
Like,
we're so you're like, I'm not afraid of anything.
The image that I feel like I'm putting out there to the people around me when I have the camera pointed at me is like, I'm so important that I need to film myself sharing this thing, which is, you know, not the case. It's just, that's how it feels. And like I said, when you get to the actual edit, there's been so many opportunities and so many great stories that I've missed and didn't get to share with people because I was too nervous to turn the camera on and talk about it.
That's important. Yeah, that's important.
But it's hard to get people to think like that. I mean, it would be even hard for me to convince myself, let alone tell other people that they need to think like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, and I think it's different for music retailers and for music stores because, you know, I would imagine most people in that position are not going to try and go out and do a vlog type thing, you know. So I think for that, it's just, you know, getting in a comfortable space. Like you guys have a great studio set up here. So I imagine here it's consistent. You know what it looks like. You know what it feels like when you come in here to film. I think that's an important aspect of it. When I'm shooting at home, I shoot in the same basic space. It's an HVAC closet where all of the, you know, Christmas decorations and everything are stored. But that's my like comfort zone, and I know how to make that space look good. I know how to make it sound good. And so when I'm shooting there, I'm much more comfortable than I am when I'm in another environment. So I think that's kind of a practical tip. If you're a music store or somebody that's trying to get into this, have a space set aside that is just your video production space, because that has a psychological sort of benefits, like
especially
to
start out.
Especially to start out. So and you can kind of control the environment more. You can control who's in there, who's, you know, hearing what you're saying or what you're playing, you know, because that adds to it too. If somebody is in my space that's not normally there when I'm filming, it completely changes how I talk to camera, what I'm saying, the cadence of how I'm saying it. So yeah.
Now, what about band members? Because I've seen a couple of the videos where it seemed very comfortable. Is the band members going, "Oh, he's a prima donna. We're used to it. Go ahead." And I'm joking around, of course, because you don't come across that way. But it seems like they're very casual, very normal, very relaxed, and engaging. There was one that I watched. I think you were somewhere and you guys were rehearsing, and there was a plant, and it was a pencil something. I don't remember.
Pencil cactus.
Okay. Well, whoever it was that was talking with you was really good. I mean, it was a good conversation. It was very engaging. It made me want to watch. It didn't make me want to go, what's the next video? Is that something that is purposeful with you, to where you're like, not only am I giving relevant content, but I've also got to make this comfortable, enjoyable, engaging, you know, because there's staying power with that. I mean, how do you do that? Or what
with
do you
the
think
band
about
stuff
that?
specifically, so I play for two bands. The one you're talking about is Noah Guthrie and Good Trouble, and I've been playing with Noah. He's a singer-songwriter, Americana blues rock guy. Been playing with Noah for 5 or 6 years now, and the dudes in that band are literally some of my best friends in the world. I mean, they've just become super close. And then the other artist that I play for is Jessie Wilson, who you haven't seen much of on the channel because she's been kind of laying low for the last year and a half while I've been building YouTube, but that's about to change. So to answer your question, I mean, I am really sensitive when we're on the road. I'm really sensitive to everyone around me and kind of their state of mind and when I'm bringing the camera out and when I'm sharing, like when I'm shooting stuff. If we're having a tough travel day and nerves are on edge and everybody's stressed out, I'm not gonna. it's not that I'm not going to film. I'm just not going to be like shoving the camera in people's faces and like,
That's a
hey
good
man,
call.
how are you feeling?
Yeah.
But when we're relaxed, we're having a good time. Yeah, I want to share that. And as far as the dudes in that band, yeah, they've known me long enough. They're all great on camera. They've seen the videos. They know what's going to be shared and what's not. And so they're comfortable with me bringing the camera out and talking about it. And two, I moving into this situation with Jesse, there's some new players that I haven't been around before. And so I'll just straight up ask people like, hey man, I have a YouTube channel. This is what I do. Are you cool with me like bringing the camera out every now and then?
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, please tell me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. If you just want to say like, hey, I don't really want to be on camera right now. Totally cool. Like, I've been around people before who aren't very sensitive to that. And, especially with me, they kind of feel like, oh, he's on YouTube, so he's always comfortable with being on camera. And that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And, they'll just come and kind of just shove a camera in your face. It's like, dude, that's not cool.
Yeah, there's boundaries in all this.
Read the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In the midst of all that, you got to have probably a pretty good blooper reel.
Yo, dude, I've got hard drives full of stuff that like I can't put into videos that I wish I could.
Oh, man. Well, you probably have leverage against people that you could threaten them to show video of stuff that you can get them to do anything you want, probably.
Yeah. Now, one of them that I seen that I thought was cute is probably not the right word because, we're guys and we're not supposed to say cute. But your wife was on there and she was a doll.
Yeah.
And you did something where she was guessing the guitars and all that. And not only did she do a good job, but it was really kind of cool because you could tell that she's a fan of what you're about.
Yeah.
So obviously, support of your spouse in your case is something that is big. But I thought she did a great job.
Yeah.
So if she ever says, I don't want to get in front of the camera, she seemed to be very natural and very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, what a great opportunity to have other guitars that she didn't know about. You could have kind of blended that in. So tell us about that a little bit.
I got so incredibly lucky with my wife, Tilly. Like, she is, like... I honestly couldn't be doing what I'm doing without her and without her support. And as far as that video was 100% her idea. She came to me and said, I want to do this video. I think it would be funny. And I said, yes, that's amazing. I literally just turned the camera on and she did it. Basically, the gist of the video is... does my wife know my gear? And she's sitting in front of the camera and I'm just handing her guitars and she's naming the guitars. She knows the wood that they're made of.
She was like, this is a maple neck. I think the fretboard, because I think you asked, I think it might be something like rosewood or something. I forget.
We
You'd have to watch it.
blindfolded her at one point, and I just handed her like my 335 and she's kind of like, feeling it and she's like, oh, okay, it's got humbuckers and okay, oh, this is your 335. I was like, I did not expect her to do that well.
Well, what was great is you handed her another guitar, and if you haven't seen it, you need to go and watch it, anybody listening. You handed her another guitar. She got a little feisty. She's like, what is this? This ain't your guitar. And I was like, holy crap, man, this is going to get really good. And that was an awesome moment, Because that's when it popped into my head is like, man, he should have snuck a few extra guitars in there. He could have got away with it.
That was a guitar I had on loan from Revolta that I had just gotten in that she hadn't seen yet. And she was like, wait, this isn't one of yours. What is this? And
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. But but
she actually guessed the guitar too.
Yeah. She's really cool too she's not a musician. She doesn't come from like a musical background, but she's been so invested in what I'm doing, both before the YouTube channel and playing, and she genuinely cares about what I'm doing and everything. And she knows her stuff, man. And so we're actually talking about her kind of coming on to help me like run the YouTube channel and
she
be part of more,
she did a good
more
job.
videos and everything. Because people really love her, man. Every time she's on the channel, I get comments all the time about, when's Tilly going to be in another video? And,
really? Yeah. There you go, man. Yeah, she was awesome.
It's a really great situation.
Now, another thing that I want to talk about, and I feel like we're deviating away from the YouTube channel, is you did a Strat shootout, which I found really entertaining because Mario actually used to work for us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the guitars. He had a Sir guitar, one of Mario's guitars, and then you had a custom shop Strat.
Yep.
Tell us about that, because I thought that was an interesting way you did that.
Yeah. So that was one of my more recent, actually my most recent video that I just put up. Near me in Atlanta, there's a shop called Righteous Guitars, and
Very nice.
yeah, they're
Very
great,
nice
great store. Those guys, Ben Calhoun and Jeff Gans and all those guys down there are great. And I've been shooting videos down there for over a year now, and that video was actually sort of thrown together. I knew I wanted to do a video down there, so I just went to the store, brought all my camera stuff, and me and Ben were just kind of talking up, like, oh, we could do this, we could do this.
And tell us who Ben is.
So Ben Calhoun is the guy who appears in my videos there.
Okay.
He's one of the main dudes that works down there. Incredibly knowledgeable. The thing I like about Righteous is they are the epitome of customer service in a guitar store.
Yeah.
You walk in, whether you're looking to spend $1,000 on something or $15,000 on something, you're going to get the same level of customer service from those guys. They're incredibly knowledgeable. They're incredibly helpful. And so with that video, I said, well, what if we did a comparison between kind of 3 different price ranges of Strats? And my idea was to do an American Standard Fender, a boutique Strat, and a Fender custom shop. And we ended up going with the Sir because they didn't have an American Standard in stock, and I felt that was sort of the closest thing to.
And those are hot guitars.
Yeah, they're
right now.
amazing guitars, And I did get some pushback in the comments for saying the Sir was the quote unquote budget guitar, which it's definitely
It's
not.
not. Yeah,
but
yeah.
for the purposes of that discussion, it was. So yeah, I just basically played the 3 different guitars, recorded them, played the same stuff on all 3 guitars, and sort of talked about the differences in feel. And the overall the theme of the video was, is a Fender custom shop guitar worth the extra money over something like a Sir or over something like a Mario? And obviously that's an intensely subjective thing. That you get 5 different people to play those 3 guitars and you're going to get 5 different answers. Sure. And for me, I felt that for what I like out of a Strat, the custom shop did it the best. If I was going to actually put the money down and buy the guitars, I probably would have bought the Mario because it was a little less expensive and it was close enough to the custom shop as far as the feel that I liked. That,
and the salesman liked it. I could tell that he was kind of trying to be subjective,
right?
But he was kind of trying to talk about the appointments, and it seemed like, if I was guessing, that would have been the one that he would have chose.
Is Righteous carry Mario's guitars in there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's great for him.
Yeah, so they're Mario. I mean, dude, they have almost everything you could.
It's a beautiful shop. You need to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where I got introduced to Novo guitars and bought my Novo, which if you're familiar with my channel at all, my pink sparkle Novo.
Yeah.
That's my baby.
That's the guitar. Huh?
Yeah, that's the one. So, yeah.
Man, very cool. Very cool. Actually, going to videos, there was one video from several years ago where it was 2, maybe you've seen it, was 2 twin guys that were sitting down and they're comparing. They're playing it both through the same rig. They're playing it like an Affinity Strat or a Squire Strat and a Fender Custom Shop Strat. Yeah. And then they're sitting there playing it, and you're trying to guess which one.
Right.
And we've actually sat around here a couple of times trying to. And it's funny, man. If you get a budget guitar in an experienced guitar player's hands, they can make that guitar sound like an expensive guitar. Right. You can hear some of the nuances and the tonality of the guitar. You can hear that jump out on the nicer guitar. Yeah. But I'm telling you what, man. There's a lot of great guitars being built these days. Yeah. That you don't have to spend $2,500, $2,800, $3,500.
And that's the thing I think that gets lost, especially, in videos like I just did where you're comparing like the tone and the appointments and bringing the price into it, and people are commenting, oh, I would never spend this much, or oh, it's totally worth. The thing that I think gets lost is it's totally down to the player. Yes. Is it worth spending $5,000 on a custom shop guitar?
If you're that player.
If you're that player, if that guitar is what inspires you to pick it up and play it every day, then it is absolutely worth $5,000.
I agree.
If a Squire Affinity Series Strat is what does that for you, then that is the guitar. Like Jack Pearson.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jack Pearson.
Oh my God, I've seen Jack Pearson play so many times. He has some of the best guitar tone I've ever heard, and the dude plays a stock Squire.
Yeah, it's an Infinity Strat, right?
Yeah, like a $300 Strat.
Yeah,
and
it's all in the fingers.
He actually bought it at a pawn shop.
What? Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think he bought it at someone that we know, his pawn shop. That's the rumor, but he probably paid $120 for it. You know, but it's his one of his favorite
when you're
guitars.
Jack Pearson, you can make any guitar sound like $1 million.
Well, hey, getting back onto now, obviously you spend a lot of time in music stores. Obviously you get the whole purpose of that. Now, if you were going to walk into a music store or the ones like, what is some advice that you would give music store owners and say, hey, you know what? Here's some aspects that I would focus on doing video.
Yeah.
Or just some snippets, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are listening to this or watching this show going, man, I'd love to get started. I'd love to do that. I don't mind editing. I don't mind getting in front of the camera. But you know what? I got this store here. I just don't even know where to start.
Well, let me interrupt. I think the question before that is the why. Because there's going to be a lot of people going, why should I do this?
Yeah.
It's time consuming. It's a lot of commitment. I could be selling something. I could be doing something else.
Yeah.
What is the value behind it? What is the reason where you go, yes, it is time consuming. Yes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment, but this is the value. What is that?
Well, the reason is the future is video. Straight up. I mean, we are headed towards, with the internet and YouTube in general, the future of content consumption is the 3 to 10 minute video format on a website like YouTube. YouTube is the second largest website in the world, behind Google, which is YouTube is owned by Google and operated by Google. And the major advantage that YouTube has is that it's a search engine like Google. So you're going to be able to create content that is, evergreen content that will continue to get views and bring in revenue to your store, bring awareness to your store. So I think that's the why. I think you should absolutely be considering creating some kind of video outlet for your stuff.
And define evergreen for people that are
wondering. So evergreen meaning that it's always generating views, it's always generating watch time. So the way I would think about making an evergreen video is making something that is going to be highly searched. So for me, most recently, I did a video on the Line 6 Helix, because that's a really popular thing. A lot of people are looking it up. They want to hear what it sounds like. They want to know about it. So that is an evergreen video. It's going to constantly be bringing in views. It'll fluctuate. It'll have days where it's bringing in a ton. It'll have days where it's only bringing in a few dozen, but it's constantly bringing in new views. So to answer your question about music stores, some things they should be thinking about. First and foremost, YouTube is transactional. If your goal is to grow your audience on YouTube, which it should be to help promote your store or your brand, whatever it is, you need to be providing content that is adding value to the person watching that video. Gear demos are great, right? People always want to hear what a pedal sounds like, what an amp sounds like, whatever. But that's not exactly transactional, right? Like, what am I getting out of a gear demo video other than just, I'm thinking about buying this new tube screamer and I want to kind of hear what it sounds like for a few minutes. Okay, cool. Well, there's already a ton of people out there doing that, and it's a crowded market, and it's not exactly going to be the most effective way, I think, to grow your audience and your brand around your store. So rather think about, okay, I want to highlight this new, for example, let's say we just got Mario Martin in our store and we want to highlight some of their new guitars. Great. What's a video that you can do talking about, here's, 5 different ways to get, as many different tones out of your Strat as possible. And you're playing the Mario and you talk about, hey, we're here at so-and-so music and we just got Mario Martin in. If you're interested, come down and check him out. Okay, now to the video. Here's how you get whatever. So the person watching that video is gaining some knowledge and some information from your content that they can use whether or not they go to your store or buy your piece of gear or not. I think that's a huge part of growing an audience, is showing them that, hey, look, you're going to gain something from your subscription here. It's transactional. That, I think, is a huge, huge thing that some people, I think, overlook. So
overlook the fact that they, I'm going to invest time into watching this video. The person creating the content needs to make sure that they're getting something out of that. It's not just it's another
yeah.
It's something they're going to learn something new about the product or
that can be entertainment value, right? Like you can make your videos really entertaining to watch. I think Chicago Music Exchange does an amazing job. I think they've done an amazing job as a music retailer of figuring out the YouTube space. I mean, they kill it, man. Their production value is amazing, So thinking about like, okay, cool. How can we add value to people's lives while growing this platform and getting our name out there?
Well, and you brought up a good part of the conversation is not, you said quality, right? The quality of the content or the production value.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, production value. Now, at music stores, obviously, as people are getting started, production value is, you talked about earlier, repetition.
Yeah.
Is production value as important as people really think it is?
It is and it isn't. So I don't think there's a direct correlation to your production value and the number of subscribers that you're going to gain. But I think it is important to, your videos should look good. They should sound good, right? Especially if you're a music store or music retailer and you're demoing gear or having gear featured in videos that you're trying to sell, that video should sound really good.
It's a reflection of what you're about. I agree with you.
Right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be using the microphone on the camera and like just picking up the sound of the room. Like, okay, here's the 65 Deluxe reverb. And, so taking the time to have the videos look really great, have them sound really great is important. Now, do you need to be Quentin Tarantino and making art piece films? No. That's one thing that I like to do on my channel. I'm really interested in videography and kind of the visual aspect of it. And so I have spent a lot of time making my videos look somewhat cinematic, if you will, and that's become, I think, part of my brand.
I was going to point that out. I felt like when I was watching your videos, I was getting the same kind of flavor as I was watching the videos on every one, meaning that, hey, this is one of Rhett's videos.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. Your production value, I think, needs to be consistent. Yeah. So whatever you decide to go with, if you want it to look like it was shot on 35 millimeter film, or you just want it to look like it was just done on camera, that should be consistent so that people know when they're watching. And again, Chicago Music Exchange is a great example of this. Just by looking at it, that you're watching a CME video, from the way their set looks, from the way it's lit, from the way their cameras are shot. There's a consistency there that I think fits the whole aesthetic of their overall thing.
Is that something you evolved into, or early on you said, hey, I'm going to do this, but I have to do it this way?
It was something that I wanted to do from early on because, again, I was really interested in the videography side of it. I love the visual aspect of making videos, right? Like, how can I make this guitar look like it was shot on, a film camera or whatever? I've always loved that. It's just another form of creative expression for me. So now I've definitely gotten better as I've done it. My early videos I don't think look as good as the stuff that I've been doing more recently, but that's to be expected.
Sure. Now let's talk about equipment. Let's talk early on.
Yeah.
Maybe it hasn't changed, but early on equipment and maybe middle of the road, and then equipment today. How has the equipment evolved, or has it?
Well, it's definitely evolved in that it's the barrier to entry is way lower nowadays than it was 5 years ago.
Oh, sure.
Right? Like, you can get a great looking camera to shoot on for $300-400, whereas 5 years ago you had to spend closer to $1,000 to get something that looked decent. From a technical aspect, I think shooting on a DSLR camera, a camera where you can swap lenses out, is incredibly important. Do you have to do that? No. You can make great looking videos on an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever. You just don't have as much control over the image as you would on, a nicer, higher end camera. Again, when it comes to audio, having good microphones and a decent recorder, you can do something like that Strat video I just did. I recorded that on a Zoom recorder, a little H4n. I plugged the two mics going from the amp directly into that, and it sounded great.
Sounded good, yeah.
So you don't have to have a full, 24 channel recording studio with $100,000 in outboard gear and Neve mic pre's and distressors and everything to make it sound good.
I think a lot of people think that that's what it takes.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. The most important thing when it comes to your equipment is your workflow needs to be dialed in. If you have to set up 4 different lights and 3 cameras and a whole recording rig every time you want to make a video, you're never going to make it. Yeah. You're never going to make videos consistently. But if you have one camera and a quick and easy setup and you know how to use that camera and that audio equipment to make it look good and sound good quickly, you're going to start cranking out content like you wouldn't believe.
So what equipment do you have? I mean,
so all my videos, I shoot on Sony cameras because I think they're the best all around for video production compared to Nikon or Canon. I have a Sony a7 III. I just upgraded to that. Most of the videos you're going to see on my channel were shot on an a6500, which is kind of a more entry-level mirrorless camera. Those are great. You know, you can get one of those with a lens used for like $1,500, and that's all the camera you would ever need for YouTube. Like straight up. The only reason I upgraded was because I wanted to go to a full frame camera because I'm nerdy about that stuff. And then as far as like recording audio, when I'm at home, I do have a more kind of robust studio setup. I have some outboard gear, some mic pre's, some good mic selections. But when I'm doing stuff at Righteous, I take 2 mics. I take a SM57 and an MD421, and I go into my Zoom recorder and my one camera and a couple of lights. The LED light panels I got on Amazon. They're like $80 piece.
Starter light kit.
Yeah. Now, I will say with the lights, don't go with the large. They're called soft boxes. We've all kind of probably seen them. They're the big, bulky things.
We have a few.
Yeah.
Not in here.
Yeah, no, you guys are all LED in here. In fact, I think I have these exact lights that you guys are using.
We have more equipment, but we've started with that.
Yeah, so for lighting, lighting is important. Being able to control your lighting. So that means, if you're shooting in a music store, don't shoot next to a window. Set your video space up in a dark corner or in a back room, because then your lighting is going to be consistent. If you're shooting next to a natural light source like a window, over the course of your video, it may take 2 or 3 hours to shoot a video, and during that time, the light's going to change.
Sun moves,
So you're going to have cuts in your video where the light looks completely different, and it's going to be distracting. So controlled lighting sources, I would use LED light panels because they're small, they're light, they're cheap, they don't get hot. Bulbs don't burn out. So.
Let's talk about preparation, because a lot of times we've seen people that own music stores, and this is just kind of a pet peeve of mine, that they do a video, and I'm kind of this person. I like doing things on the fly.
Yeah.
But if something's not good, I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Right.
But I see people do videos of their store, and they're like, and the price is wrong, and then I was watching one where he's like, hey everybody, and he's doing all this,
right? But
the camera was facing that way, and I just want to, and I know the guy, and I just want to call him up and go, dude, you're an idiot. Do you not pay attention to this kind of stuff? So talk to that, not extreme as I just did, because I can say that because well, maybe I can't say it, but I did say it.
But you did.
But you know my point. It's kind of comical when you see people that are doing that with their phone, and they're doing all this stuff, and the camera's facing the wrong way. They don't do it right. Whatever. You have thought in some of your stuff. You have preparation. You have maybe things that you go, I have to capture this to capture a video, and if I don't get it, it's a no. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Or talk to us about that.
All right, so the preparation is key. Now, do you need to spend 3 days storyboarding a whole? No. But a lot of times when I'm working on a video, okay, so I'll just tell you guys right now, the next video I'm going to work on today when I'm in town is I'm doing a video on like tips for flying with guitars and with gear. Getting through airports effectively with your guitars, getting them on and off the plane, what to say to the gate agents to not have to check your guitars, all that kind of stuff. So for me, the prep for that would be, I'm going to sit down with a little notepad, and I'm just going to jot down kind of the overall outline of the video. This is what I want to cover. This is kind of how I want the flow to be. I have a picture of what I want the video to feel like when it's done.
Yeah.
That you should apply that same thought process to everything you're doing, even if you're just putting out a 60-second thing for Instagram. What do I want this to look like?
Absolutely.
That is so important, because if your goal is to bring people into your store, you want to provide a really sort of, I guess, enticing image.
Absolutely.
To bring, oh, that looks awesome. I want
it to
in there.
look good. Yeah.
Yeah. So think about, what do you want it to look like? And reference other stuff. Go online and look up other stores or other creators, and you're like, dude, that looks awesome. How do I do that? And kind of think about, well, what are they doing? Oh, this is where they're shooting. This is how their videos flow. If it's a total afterthought for you, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. You should have a picture of what it is going to look like when it's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes, like that Strat video, I kind of was winging it a little bit. And so in that case, I shot way more stuff than I ended up actually using.
Yeah, but you're shooting something with experience behind you.
Yeah.
So we might be talking a little bit more to people who are just trying to get started.
Yeah, and I
or
guess
not as
what I'm
experienced.
talking about is people that and I hate Facebook Live. Because they use Facebook Live and they go, hey, everybody, we're Facebook Live and we're doing this and that.
Right.
It's a wreck.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Their prices are wrong, and I'm talking about stores. The cameras face the wrong way.
Yeah.
They're stuttering, and I'm just going, oh, my God. It would be better for you not to put that out.
Right. Well, live streaming is an incredibly useful tool if you know how to use it. So I think you should be live streaming. But this goes back to this point. Put some thought into it beforehand. Don't just decide, oh, you know what? I haven't done Facebook or Instagram Live in a couple of days. Let's just go on and here's the store. We're going to show some.
Have a purpose.
Have a
behind
concept behind it. Okay,
absolutely. Maybe
every Thursday we do an hour live stream and we talk about, oh, here's some new stuff we got in. Treat it almost like a radio show or a podcast where you have a certain day and a certain time that you go live and you have segments, and oh, here's 5 new things we got in this week, or oh, here's some budget stuff that you, whatever your thing is.
I like what you're saying.
And it goes back to that consistency. You know that, oh, every Thursday at 5 p.m., so-and-so music store is going live onto their Facebook followers or Instagram or YouTube, whatever it is. Uploading videos. Oh, so-and-so music store, every Monday they have a new video out. That is really, really key to growing your stuff. Now, getting back to like the preparation side of it, a lot of times I will shoot way more video than I actually end up using. Do not be afraid to fill up that SD card on your camera, because I would much rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And a lot of times what's happened is, especially when I shoot at Righteous, every time I'm in there, I shoot B-roll of the store. I'll get shots of the guitars. I'll focus in on some stuff that they've got. Even though I might not use it, a lot of times if I talk about Righteous or something in a video, or I'm speaking on that subject, I now have so much B-roll that I can pull from to throw into my video, and that has instantly upped the value of the video. And by B-roll, I mean footage that's not actually what's going on at the moment. So if I'm talking to camera, a B-roll shot would be a shot of something that happened earlier or at a different time.
Gotcha.
Or the amp. If you're talking about an amp, it might be other shots of the amp going around showing it or something.
That's a huge part of the production of your videos, is shooting B-roll. So again, like let's say you're wanting to highlight a new guitar that you got into your store. You're on camera talking about the guitar, playing the guitar. You should also get a bunch of different shots of the guitar on the stand, or maybe lean it up against an amp or whatever, and so people can actually focus in. Oh, I'm talking about, it has the Godot 510 bridge on it. Let me cut to a shot of that bridge. What that does is it keeps people engaged in your video and watching it longer, which is really
the reason
what you're
trying to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, I don't know. I think this is good stuff. I think the big part of everything we're talking about, we can talk about the nuts and bolts and the details, but I think a big thing we need to do is just encourage. We need to encourage stores that they need to do it. They need to repetition. I think repetition might be the word of the day, because through repetition you're going to learn how to shoot better. You're going to be able to know what you're doing. You're going to be able to edit. You're going to be able to do a lot of different things that will make you better. And the world that we're going in, would you agree? Hey, if you want to be a successful music store, or you want to be a music store that's going to have an impact, you have to have video content.
Yeah. And you're going to stay relevant, man. Like you're going to appeal to the younger audience of players out there that are getting into guitar, right? Like if I had, when I was first starting out buying guitars and learning it, dude, I didn't know a Strat from a Les Paul. And, you know, if there had been a resource for me where I could go online and watch my local music store talk about this kind of stuff and educate me on this kind of stuff, they would have earned a customer for life from me. You know, I mean, that's so important.
That's interesting that you say that, because what you're saying is you don't have to be in their store to be a customer at that moment.
No, especially now with online retail, like, you know, with Righteous, I know that I've driven a lot of traffic to Righteous Guitars just from what they've told me and from people that have commented on my video. Oh, I just ordered a guitar from Righteous because I've seen them in your videos. When I was there for the Strat video last week, a guy walked up to me. Oh man, I'm here because I watched your videos and wanted to come check the store out.
So we need to work on getting kickbacks for you.
I know. I was like, I need to talk to the guys down there about maybe a guitar or something.
With Guido and a friend and go down to Atlanta. And
you thinking 50%'s good? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We'll
no,
talk
it's a killer store. You need to check it out.
I'd love
it
to
really
go
is.
see it. Where's it at in Atlanta?
It's in Alpharetta, which is north of Atlanta. It's in a suburb north of Atlanta, and it's an incredible store, man. They deal primarily in like high end. They're huge. If you're a PRS guy, they're one of the biggest PRS dealers out there. A lot of boutique amps, a lot of boutique guitar companies. It's just an impressive space.
It's good
it's
stuff.
Nice. Yeah. It's real clean. I like it.
They have a plec there as well, which is cool. I did a video on that.
I didn't know that.
So you can get your guitars plecked over there. Yeah.
Well, you have a completely different world as well going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I was noticing that there's flat5.com.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on the education side, and also you are very into making Kemper profiles and Helix profiles too.
Yep.
So that's a whole nother side of this world that is interesting to me.
Yeah, man. So Flat 5 is my place online where, you know, I have basically it's sort of a Patreon style thing. I call it the Green Room, and it's for people who like want to support me and the channel. They can sign up on the Green Room, and I post lesson content over there each week. And
so you own that. That's yours.
Yeah, it's I don't own the website, but I'm friends with the guy who founded it and started it.
Because I noticed Rick Beato is on there. He's man, I love his videos.
Yeah, man, I've known Rick for 6 or 7 years. I used to intern for him and engineer for him, and that's actually how I got the gig that brought me to Nashville, was through Rick's studio. I was actually the one who encouraged him to start YouTube about 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that has obviously been a massive success.
Dude, his video that he did on miking those Marshall amps, the Jubilee 2555 and the 800.
Yeah.
Dude, I sat there and listened to that, because by the time he got done and he's going through the mic pre's and everything he did and how to mix it and put it on there, and you're like, my gosh, that sounds just like Angus Young playing.
Yeah, I actually shot that video.
That.
I was in the studio that day, and Dave Honorado was the guy who's playing on that video. And that was a total like, hey, he had just bought those Marshalls. He has a full Jubilee stack, and it was JCM 800 stack, and we're like, well, let's just do this. And so I shot it. Our buddy Dave played, who's an awesome player. And we threw it together, and it was a killer video, man.
Dude, it's a killer video. Yeah. I've actually suggested people to watch that video, so I think that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you guys are all kind of connected together on flat5.com.
Yeah, so Flat 5, Rick has a bunch of like courses and stuff over there for sale, and I'm working on a course that I'll hopefully have out pretty soon over there. But I do a lot of like the Helix presets and the Kemper profiles. I've been really fascinated in the Kemper and the Helix as practical tools for guitar players recently. And I was able to get my hands on a Helix about 3 months ago. I took it on tour with Noah for the last 2 months and have been using it live, and created my own presets for it that I've been using with Noah, and figured out from using them in the videos, there's pretty high demand for them. So I offer all the preset packs for sale, and I've released HX Stomp presets as well. I think the Helix and the Kemper are incredible tools, man, for working guitar players or even people that are hobbyists. The Kemper, I mean, you can essentially have $500,000 worth of amps in one box.
Oh yeah, man! I got one. I got one last September, and I bought it off a guy. It was a producer here in town. He was kind of getting out of the business, and I was over there looking at some of his gear, and he had one. I said, man, are you going to sell that? And he's like, yeah, man, make an offer. And I made an offer, and I took it, and I was like, crap, I just walked out of here with a Kemper, and I loved it. But he had, is it Mike Britt?
Yeah, the
Mike
Britt profiles,
Britt, and man, he had one of Keith Urban's Dumble, a bunch of patches in there, and it sounded great. And I'm like, and you're sitting there going, okay, it's Kemper profile. Let me plug it in and see how well it sounds. And you're sitting there playing, and you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds way better than it should. Yeah. It really does.
Yeah, the key with the Kemper and the Helix, the unit is only as good as the profiles and the presets that you're using. So I've heard people, talk to me, I had a Kemper, it sounded awful, and I got rid of it. It's like, well, you probably didn't, if you were profiling your own amps, you probably didn't do it that well, or you were using cheap, poorly made profiles, because if you're using like the Embrit stuff is good. I've taken a lot of time and honed in my profiles to make them sound and feel. That's the more important thing, to make it feel like the real amp.
Yeah.
And to make it work in a live context, which means they're more mid-forward, they're more, mid-focused to kind of help cut through to mix. They're great. I'm hopefully in talks about maybe going out to California to a collector's house to profile this guy who has 6 Dumbles.
Oh my gosh!
So we're gonna see. I don't know if that's a for
sure.
sure.
A problem.
Yeah, well, maybe
you could call it a problem,
or you could call it
I'm kind of jealous.
An affinity for great amps, but we'll
is
see.
not a problem. But he's got. But to get to 6, my gosh, you got to.
Like 5 wasn't good enough.
Really. There's a 6th one. I think I'll buy it.
Yeah, So I just want to go just to be in a room with 6 Dumbles and be able to play.
Yeah. You and that guy are the only 2 people on the planet that probably have done it. So man, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, man.
So, but that's pretty cool. I know it's pretty big. The Kemper, obviously, when I got that Kemper, you start running across other Kemperites, to be silly about
Kemperites.
it. Kemperites. And you're like, all of a sudden, you got this whole group of people that you all go hang out, and you're like, hey, I got a Kemper. But people love them, man. I mean, and the thing is these guys who are really into it. And that was when I was sitting there talking to that producer that day, I was just like, I don't know, man. I really like the sound of a real amp. He goes, I'm telling you what, this is great. I was like, yeah, I can tell the difference. He goes, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I can. He's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know, man. I've been around real amps too much. He goes, I'm telling you what, I'll pull up a mix right now and you tell me which one's the real amp and which one's the not, and you won't be able to. And we pulled it up and we played it, and I'm telling you what, you cannot tell the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, people who have real profiles that do it really well, it's a killer business. So when I saw that you were doing that and creating it, some of them with Deluxe, is that one of the amps you've been working with? And man, I'm telling you what, it's just it's extremely useful for today's musician.
It's just a really practical thing. But I actually have this theory that is not very popular online and on forums, which I don't spend very much time in forums anyway. But I actually don't think the difference matters. Right, I think there is a difference between the tube amp and the digital recreation, whether that's a Kemper or Axe FX or Helix, whatever it is. In the context, especially if you're gigging, that difference is so minuscule that, okay, so for the Kemper, the thing that everybody always talks about with the Kemper is how close to the real amp is it? And to me, I don't care how close to the real amp it is, because with a real tube amp, if you've toured or you've played out, you know that if you go from different venue to different venue each night, your amp is going to sound different. The room is going to sound different. Yeah. The power coming out of the wall is going to make the amp feel and respond differently. So what you're doing is actually just comparing the Kemper to the real amp in the moment in time in which the real amp was captured. But if you're in a studio, you mic it up. You might mic it up slightly differently, or you might play it with a different guitar. It's not going to be the same thing over and over again. So to me, the difference or the similarity doesn't matter. What matters is, does it feel like the real thing? Does it feel like an amp? And does it feel inspiring to play? And to me, the Kemper, the Helix presets that I've made, they do that for me, and they work.
Yeah.
Now, I still love I'm playing my tube amps. Like this week with Jesse, I'm playing a 5E3 Tweed Deluxe. There's actually a Mojo Tone kit that I built, and it sounds amazing. And tube amps are fun. Like you have your pedal board going into the front end of a great tube amp. My main amp is a Divided by 13 FTR 37. I adore that thing. I'll never get rid of that amp. But there's a convenience factor, right? Like that amp, that Divided by 13, when the head in its road case is almost 90 pounds, and then I have a 212 cab in a road case that's the same weight, and I don't have a roadie or a tech or anything. And so with Noah, we were on tour with Dwight Yoakam in March as an opening act. I don't want to bring my big amp out when I have a 15-minute changeover between our set and their set. Like I want something that's quick and easy. I can throw it on the floor. And so I took the Helix, and it was great.
Yeah.
And I was able to run stereo, and it sounded exactly the same every single night because I wasn't miking up cabinets and all that stuff. So
yeah, you find out real quick how dedicated people are when it comes to carrying around heavy amps. So
yeah, let me tell you, as a drummer, it sucks.
I know, especially all the hardware. My goodness. Hey, can you go get that for me? But man, this has been good. So I know you had brought it up before, but I'm just thinking maybe to wrap things up, man, you were Backstage Journal.
Yeah.
So maybe just kind of talk about what you're doing and where you're going forward and what the future plans are.
So Backstage Journal is the vlog series that I do on my channel, and they're really some of my favorite videos that I've done because they are like kind of miniature documentaries.
Yeah.
Like storytelling. I just love it. And so I'm expanding that into a podcast. I'm actually going to be recording the first few episodes this week here in Nashville. So it's not released yet, but it will be. And you can find out more about that like on my website, rhettshull.com. I'll have all that stuff posted up there. But that's really what I'm interested in the future is just continuing to kind of create and express and share this whole life as a musician with people.
Yeah.
And, because I think what we do is really interesting and really cool. And I don't think there's enough people out there really talking about it and really sharing it. So I would like to find a way to bring in people who are not just musicians into that fold as well and kind of show like, life in the musical world. So.
Now tell us more about the podcast. What you're going to be doing is just
it's going to be a weekly. It'll be right now. It'll just be audio. There might be a video aspect to it as well. Haven't decided on that yet. But it'll be a weekly show, open discussion with interesting people.
Oh, cool.
I've been really fortunate in my career as a musician so far to get to know some really cool people in this business that, I think. Some of them aren't interviewed very often and aren't in the public very often, and I'd like to kind of highlight them and share. And
it's more on the road type stuff.
It'll be on the road type stuff. It'll be in studio type stuff. I'd really like to get some interesting builders and people that I've gotten to work with through the YouTube channel on. I'd like to get other YouTubers on to kind of talk about that whole side of the business as well. And
that sounds like it'll be a blast.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, man. Because I love podcasts. Like. What you guys are doing is great. When I'm in the car and driving, most of the time I'm listening to podcasts.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. This is like YouTube. This is another really great medium and format to be getting into. Yeah,
absolutely. So that'll be rolling out here pretty soon.
Yeah, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I got to write some music for it. I got to get some of the production stuff down for it. Because I'm producing everything myself. So. I've got to get all that stuff done and out. But
yeah. So everybody needs to go to rhettshull.com. They can find out where you might be playing. They find out the new videos that you got coming out.
Yep.
And obviously, if you're into Kemper and Helix profiles, you can get a lot of that through there as well.
Through the website,
so.
All my tour dates are posted on there. Just found out we're going to Europe in December.
Wow.
Netherlands and Germany and all that stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
That'll all be up there.
Yeah. Who are you doing that through?
With Noah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
so we'll be
cool.
with Jesse. I'll be out with the Black Keys in October. We're going out with them. And then out with her in August as well. And then Noah will be out in the Netherlands in December.
Oh, that sounds fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, man, hey, to wrap it up, one question on the spot.
Uh-oh.
Best guitar player ever.
Oh, God. Okay. My gut tells me Derek Trucks.
Oh, no.
Why?
No.
Why?
There's a guy here that's a
Yeah.
huge Derek Trucks fan.
Yeah, because
No.
you brought up PRS earlier at the end.
He's a PRS fan.
And he's a big PRS fan.
Yeah.
I was
He's a
cringing
Derek
when you
Trucks
said
fan.
that. It's just inside
Dude, as soon
jokes.
as he hears this, he's going to be
He's gonna
walking around
okay.
like this.
Well,
You know
I'm
what he's
gonna
going to
defend
do?
myself.
He's going to give you a hug.
You're going to defend
Yeah, but
Listen.
he's got a man crush on you now.
I've seen Derek play so many times, both with Tedeschi Trucks and back when he had Derek Trucks band.
Yeah, same as him. Yeah.
I think we're living in a time where we will be able to look back and say, yeah, I got to see Derek Trucks perform. Like the way that
Really?
people talk about Hendrix, that, oh yeah, I got to see Hendrix play, and there's that like mystique around it.
Oh, man.
I feel that way about Derek
Maybe
Trucks.
Adam's onto something. Maybe we need to pay more attention.
I think he's going to be a Rhett Shull fan here.
Well, maybe we just don't let him listen to this episode.
That's right. Oh, it's just funny.
On our way out, you got to meet Adam. You'll
All right.
love Adam. He's
All right.
he's a great guitar
He's a real
player.
nice
Yeah.
guy.
You'll love him.
Yeah.
So
When the funny thing is one day we were
name
sitting
another
on-
guitar player.
Oh yeah, any other. Yeah,
we got to recover from
any
this.
guitar player.
I'll throw Jason Isbell in there as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm a huge
local guy.
Oh God, I love Jason's music so much. I love him as a songwriter, and I respect the fact that he's an amazing songwriter, amazing singer, and a killer guitar player who understands the instrument and knows gear and knows how to play. I just love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
All right, man. Hey,
Well,
that's
there we
great.
go. We
that's
recovered.
great. All
We recovered.
answers are good here.
Yeah.
It was just funny that you said that.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
All right, wrap
man,
us up.
Rhett, appreciate it a
Thanks for
ton.
having me,
Yes,
man.
Man,
thanks.
thanks
It
for
was
being
great.
out here.
Yeah,
Of
we
course,
appreciate
everybody go to rhettshull.com and you can find everything else out. But man, we'd love it, and maybe down the road we can have you back on again
Sure.
and fill us in with the future plans.
Love
So,
that.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys.
Yep.